When we look at recovery, to me, to really make sense out of this letting go term, it only makes sense when you really understand the complexities of complex trauma. It leads to all of these connections that are unhealthy. It leads to adaptations that are unhealthy. It leads to lies and beliefs that are unhealthy. And so recovery is figuring that out and learning, I got to let go of a whole bunch of unhealthy stuff. So let's look at how do we do that? What's involved in letting go? So I have to say up front is be patient with yourself. Go slow in this process of letting go. I don't know anybody that just sits down one day and figures out exactly what they need to let go and lets go of it in one day. It just doesn't work that way. Letting go is a process. It's a process first of figuring out what I need to let go, what part's healthy, what part's unhealthy, and then coming to a point where I'm able to let go. Because sometimes we know something is unhealthy. We know something we need to let go of. We just know we're not in a place where we can let go. And there's going to take time before we get to the place where finally we're just able to let go. We can't force ourselves, in some cases, to let go of something that we have such a strong bond with. So let me give you a few things about why this is a slow process, why we have to be patient with it. The first thing is that our brain, the limbic brain and the cortex, they let go on different schedules. So your cortex can actually figure out academically, see stuff academically, weigh out the pros and cons, see the negative consequences, and say, yep, that should be let go. And it can do that very quickly. It's the limbic brain that causes the problem. Because the limbic brain, the emotional part of the brain, is what developed an emotional attachment to something unhealthy. Because it seemed to work. It has a lot of emotional memories of the good things that came out of that. And so it's the limbic brain that takes a long time to get to a point where it's able to let go. So a lot of recovery, people just try to get your cortex to say, yep, this is bad for me, and just to make a decision in your cortex as if that should just magically make it happen. Understand you're working also with your limbic brain, and it takes a long time for your limbic brain to come to a point where it can let go. But there's a second thing, and it's understanding the default setting of our subconscious brain. You see, you can let go of something and think, okay, I've let go of that. But then without even realizing it, you slide back into picking it up again. You slide back into that because that's the normal for your brain. That's where your brain's lived for decades. That's your default setting, your autopilot. And if you're not consciously, constantly working at maintaining letting go, your brain will slide back into depending on that again, attaching to it again. And so what many people find is they let go, slide back into it, have to let go all over again, slide back into it, have to let go all over again. That's part of the process as well. But then there's another piece to this. What we hope for is that when we make a change, that it's going to lead to something very positive in my life. And it does. But what we don't factor in is that it also brings in some negative consequences. So positive change leads to positive consequences, but it also leads to negative consequences. Let me explain. So let's say that you decide you're going to stop people pleasing. Well, now your parents don't like it when you say no. Now some of your friends don't like it when you say no. They don't like this new you that sets boundaries, that says no to them, that doesn't just suppress your needs and put their needs ahead of yours. And so now you're getting opposition. You might even get persecution. You will get gaslit by them and told by them that you're being selfish. You will get pressure put on you to try to get you to conform to the old dynamics of the relationship. So all of a sudden, this new change is not getting everybody cheering for you. It is getting some people quite upset with you. That means you might have to end some relationships. And now there's going to be an increasing loneliness. That some of the people that you were really wanting to connect with are very unhealthy for you. People you were trying to please with, you have to say no to. And now less relationships. You're lonely. Then you begin to second guess yourself. Am I doing the right thing? Am I being selfish? You're confused, especially when you get criticized by these narcissists that blame you for being selfish, that blame you for being a narcissist. You start all this second guessing stuff. Then whenever you start changing, you're moving into an area of life you've never lived in before. This is all brand new. This is unknown territory. I don't know how to live here. I have no role models here. I don't have great tools here. Now I'm living in unknown. Now I'm living in change. And that's triggering a lot of fear. So what happens for a lot of people when they get to this point is, I don't know if the positive results of this change are worth it. There's been so many negative consequences that come out of these changes. Maybe it's better to go back to the way things used to be. Maybe it's better to just go back to conform to what everybody wants. Then I'll be happy. Then everybody else will be happy. Surely that's the way to go. And so they reach a fork in the road. And so to change, it means short-term pain, opposition, people upset with you. It leads to all kinds of dealing with stuff and fear that aren't pleasant to deal with. But there is a pro, and it's long term. Eventually it's going to lead to a better life. It's going to lead to greater joy. But the other fork of the road is, if I go back to the way things used to be, I'll get short-term pleasure. Everybody will be happy with me again. Everything will look good again. But the con is I will get long-term pain even greater. So the point is, doesn't matter what path I'm going to choose, I'm going to get pain. In the healthy path, I'm going to get short-term pain, but long-term healthiness, joy. In the other path where I say, let's go back to unhealthy, I will get short-term pleasure, but even greater long-term pain. So I will get pain either way. My limbic wants to go back to short-term pleasure. It doesn't want to factor in long-term pain. I need to get to my cortex and say, hey, I want long-term pleasure, joy. So I will endure short-term pain. It's way better than ever increasing greater pain. There's another piece that happens here, is that whenever I transition from an old unhealthy normal that's been my normal for years, my default setting, to a new normal, it feels wrong. So if you've been a people pleaser for years, you've suppressed your desires for years, you've told yourself that it's right to suppress your desires and put everybody ahead of you, that's what love means. Now when you stand up for yourself and say, no, my needs matter just as much as yours, I need to be loved just as much as I love in order for it to be a healthy relationship, that feels selfish. That feels wrong. When I set boundaries with family, it feels like I'm disloyal to family. That feels wrong. So to get healthy actually is going to feel wrong for a while. It's going to feel unsafe for a while. And it takes 3 to 6 months to transition through that to a new healthy normal that's your default, where that wrong feeling begins to disappear. But be prepared for that, because that makes many people think, oh, I'm being wrong. I need to go back to where my limbic brain doesn't feel guilty. And then there's another piece that happens. So when you deal with your people pleasing, the issue that you're wanting to change, and you begin to explore it, you begin to realize the reason I people please is because I have shame underneath. I need people to like me to feel good about myself. So for me to deal with my people pleasing, I have to deal with my shame. Oh my goodness, another issue? a deeper issue I didn't even see. I just thought I had to stop people pleasing. But now I realize I can't stop people pleasing unless I heal my shame. So it's like I reach a new level of where I need to let go of, but it only makes me aware of an even deeper level that I got to let go of. A new level means a new devil. That is frustrating and that is hard. And then the final one is every time I go to change and I step into this new unknown and I let go of stuff, it actually triggers fear. What will happen next? Will I fail? Will I be able to do this? Is this really healthy? Fear becomes something I have to walk through every time I make a change. Every time I let go of something, it triggers fear. And that makes people want to go back to what feels safe. So let me take you to the next thing. Don't try to tackle everything you have to let go of at once. Tackle one thing at a time. And so it can be a person or a thing. So let's say you realize I've got a person in my life. Yes, there's a really unhealthy attachment. Maybe there's some good in that relationship. There's a lot of unhealthy. Or maybe this person is totally toxic. I got to totally cut them out of my life. Don't try to sort that out with every person. Do it with one person at a time. Now, the fear for many people is that every relationship that has an unhealthy element, it's all or nothing. I got to get rid of them all, totally kick them to the curb. No, it doesn't work like that. There's going to be some people that are so toxic you have to cut them out of your life, but that's rare. For the most part, the people in your life, you might have, so let's take your parents. You still want a relationship with them. There's still a lot of good things in that relationship, but there are some unhealthy things. You depend on them too much. You put your needs below theirs. You don't set boundaries with them. You let them take advantage of you. You let them disrespect you. And you realize if I'm going to get healthy, I have to change that. I have to set boundaries. I have to say no. I have to not be so dependent on them. I have to put my needs as just as important as theirs. Okay, that's going to be a lot of work to figure that out. Maybe I have to start by just saying, Mom and Dad, if I come over here and you treat me with disrespect, I'm going to leave. Or in your own mind say, I'm going to spend less time with Mom and Dad, not let them talk to me every day for hours. I'm going to kind of limit my time with them. Start with boundaries that are attainable and begin to work on improving that one area and moving it to a healthy place. Then let's go to activities. You go, okay, I need to change my relationship with food. I need to change my relationship with TV. I need to change my relationship with social media. Doesn't mean I cut them totally out of my life, though I might need to do it for a little while. I need to sort out when am I engaging and attaching to TV in a healthy way? When is it unhealthy? When am I using sleep in a healthy way? When am I using it in an unhealthy way? When do I serve others in a healthy way? And when do I serve others in an unhealthy way? And begin to sort out what part do I let go of? What part do I keep? One way that helps a lot of people in recovery in sorting this out is internal family systems. And basically what it realizes is that when the child was little, all of these adaptations create kind of what they call parts. Different things. Each adaptation is like another person, a part that develops to protect this wounded child from getting hurt again. So they lie, they get angry, they control, they manipulate, they people please. All of those are firefighters and managers, parts that are all trying to protect this hurting child. And so the whole point of IFS is this: there are no bad parts. All of them, their ultimate desire was the safety of the child. They just used the tools they had to tell lies, to get angry, to lash out, to become invisible, to be funny all the time. Those are all parts that are designed to protect the child. So don't be trying to beat them up. Don't get down on yourself that they were doing their job of protecting the child. What you do now is go to those parts and say, thank you for the job you did. Thank you for serving this vulnerable child so well. But I want you to know that I've now developed tools to protect that child myself. So I'm glad to still have you around, but I don't need you to feel responsible now to take care of that child. I'm going to give you kind of your retirement papers because I now have the tools to protect this child. And so if you're able to see that all of these adaptations were just kind of parts all designed to protect the child, so you're not getting down on yourself and being judgmental and critical, but you're just beginning to understand and explore that, wow, this brain of mine was so sophisticated in trying to protect me. Now I'm just changing that I have better tools to protect myself now. Let me give you two final things. Letting go of all of these things, people, things, activities, always results in an element of grieving. I'm losing something that used to be important in my life, so I will probably have a time of grieving. Allow yourself that. But finally, recovery is not just about letting go of unhealthy. Recovery, to be true recovery, has to be all about forming healthy attachments, replacing the unhealthy attachments with healthy people, healthy activities. Make that your focus. Just don't focus on breaking and letting go of unhealthy attachments. Really focus on forming healthy attachments. That's when your recovery starts to deliver true healing and true joy.